you are in charge of Ghana's forestry. When we say we have declared these areas as a security zone, what does it mean and what are the implications, and so on? Is it the same as declaring a state of emergency? Help us appreciate what it means.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not a declaration of state of emergency.
Okay.
It could be seen as a component of what could constitute a declaration of a state of emergency.
Okay.
Because when you talk of a declaration of a state of emergency, there are a lot of components that constitute that. And because of what is in question, the focus being the water bodies and the forest reserves, and if it is being classified now as a security zone, you would have just agreed with me that even if a state of emergency was declared today, that would have been one of the additional information that you and I will need to know.
Okay.
What this simply means is that just like any security zone, maybe you can call it military zone or installation, it means that you cannot just get up and walk in there. You need permission to access that place. So if you are found there, you must have very, very compelling reason to defend why you find yourself there. And that gives the security apparatus all the powers to be able to extinguish anything else found there to be foreign. Now, let me begin with the genesis of this so we can all appreciate this. First and foremost, I must commend President John Dramani Mahama for his show of political will and commitment in fighting this canker without just trying to throw about mere words or jargons or mantra. But he has demonstrated that at all times. He has been calling for regular briefs and is on top of issues and understands everything. And so if you recall, just a few days ago when Honorable Amabua was at the closing ceremony of the first batch of the 9 most personnel, he made it clear to them that there's no obstructionist that should come to you and say there's an order from above and there's a big man. The biggest man on this country is the president of the land, and he has given you this mandate. He is empowering you. Now, you will recall that in the past, before the NDC took over, about 44 of our forests were breached. 9 were considered red zones, no-go area, because the gangs had taken over completely. And so it was no more even in the hands of the states because of Forestry Commission, because we couldn't have. And so these gangs, some were foreigners, etc., connive with our local people and engage in this enterprise, environmental degradation. Then, at the same time too, there was a supposed ban at a point in time. And during this time that there was a ban, it was rather the time when they were issuing more licenses. And it just didn't make sense to anybody.
Right.
That you've placed a ban and yet you were still issuing licenses. Then around the same time too, a lot of very funny things happened in this country.
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall, there were some Chinese who were even arrested.
Right.
Then when they were to appear in court, we were told that they had all died in cells and their bodies were cremated. And this cock and bull story were the order of the day. Then also there was a certain majority in the legislature by the previous government, or the opposition party now. And so they forced in this LI, which allowed for people to now mine in forest reserves. Reason being that they have found out that they hold a belief that more resources are contained in our forest reserves. And so, you know how our legislature works. So they passed that. Then also, there wasn't any, how do I want to find, for want of better word, there wasn't any show of commitment by the regime to crack the whip. You'll recall when the president at the time said that he, as president, was prepared to put his presidency on the line.
Yeah.
But between you, myself, or before all of us here today, we know it was just mere rhetoric. Nothing was done. Names were mentioned. People came up with reports. Professor Frimpong Boateng, Charles Bissiou, Anas's expose, the gold mafia, and all of that.
Right.
And nothing happened. Then there were calls by some people, some Ghanaians, that a state of emergency should be declared. Now, it must be put in context that the people were requesting for a state of emergency to be declared because of the things that were happening at the time. 44 forests were breached. 9 were taken away. Then, at the time you had placed a supposed ban, you were issuing a lot of licenses. Don't also forget, Moro, at the time there was a ban, that was also when Ghana exported the highest amount of gold.
Yeah.
So, who are you deceiving? So these things happened. When President John Dramani Mahama took over, he first and foremost made it very clear that he is not opposed to mining, but he strongly frowns on illegal and irresponsible mining, particularly in our water bodies and in the forest reserves. Based on that, in order to assess the situation, the first thing he was calling for was a seizure in the issuance of permits. No more licenses, no new licenses. And so till date, no new licenses have been issued. And that is very significant. Then, the 44 forests that were breached have been reduced to 28. And as we speak, the 9 that were even completely taken away from us, that were red zones, have been changed from red to green. And if you have done these also, I think it is significant further. Then fortunately, I must again commend the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, the MP for Elembele, and who also doubles as the caretaker minister for the Environment, Science and Technology, Honorable Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa. He took the bold decision by kicking in motion a letter to the Attorney General saying that there's the need for us to do what? Repeal this LI 2462. To stop these. That is another step. The same minister has gone further, as you and I were discussing, to declare our water bodies and our forest reserves as security zones. Therefore, stay off. Then President Mahama, also with the minister again, suggested other alternatives, such as the RCOMS, the Responsible Corporate Mining and Skills Development Program. Then the Blue Water Guards were also introduced. And the famous NIMOS, National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, which has been doing very well so far. You know, some 9 gang of criminals were arrested not long ago in the Anwiafoto Forest Enclave.
Right.
As I speak with you yesterday, they've been brought to Accra. They've been split into various police stations, and we would only be appealing to the Attorney General to fast-track the processes in order to serve as a deterrent to others. Now, what NIMOS is also doing is to make sure that they halt, deter, discourage, and arrest anybody who gets closer to our water bodies and forest reserves. And that alone is not enough, but to also make sure that anybody engaged in illegal mining is halted. Because the level of damage, where it has gotten to, this is a government that is 8 months in power.
Right.
Moro, let's not take away the fact that while the government is in office or government is running, it is not only galamsey that government has to run. There are a lot of things that must go on. Even we at Forestry Commission, whilst we are fighting galamsey, we are fighting illegal logging as well too.
Okay.
We are fighting the wildlife poaching as well too. But because it hasn't gained so much like galamsey, we have all shifted attention to galamsey. But illegal logging is another major one, which is the reason why not long ago, Ghana became the first country in Africa to have signed on to the Forest Law Enforcement Governance Trait, FLEGT, which means that every tree that is felled and shipped to the EU can be traced to where exactly it's been felled from.
Right.
And that is to allow for free trade and expand the frontiers of business. And so when all these are done, we must be able to approach this thing with short, medium, and long-term approaches. Education is also very key. I recall a video where some champagne was burnt. Then the gentleman who was bare-chested ran to the machine and was screaming, "Hey, into John Mahama, I buy it tomorrow, the other day, and yes, she messed up." To him, it's not about the damage he's causing to the water body and all of that. But he is even saying that he will what? He will buy a new one. Yeah. Such people need proper education. We must also admit.
Why are the champagnes produced locally or they're imported?
No, they are not produced locally.
They're imported?
Yeah, they're imported. But you see, they have multiple uses.
Oh.
For instance, there's a machine we call the power tiller. When we were young, I grew up on a rice farm.
Okay.
We call it in our local parlance agrima, but it's power tiller.
Okay.
So that is the same thing put on the power tiller that you use to till your land and all of that.
Okay.
Yes.
I get it.
So even though these guys, they make a lot of money from by day they call it or whatever.
Yeah.
So it is not easy convincing him that hey, you make 1,000 cedis a day or so. Now we want to give you an alternative livelihood, and you'll be making 1,000 cedis a month. Or it's not that easy.
Yeah.
But when the advocacy continues or is intensified, then there will be the need for some change and reforms. And two critical actors who will play major role in this is you, the media, and that you have done relentlessly.
Okay.
By constantly talking about this. Look, if every media person each day talks about galamsey, we should now move from only talking about the complaints, but adding solutions and adding even suggestions about the extent to which it is damaging the environment, why it is not good, why it is affecting government, why it is even affecting your own community. Then most importantly, are our traditional authorities.
Okay.
Moro, just as I'm sure my brother is also aware, we know how our land tenure systems are in Ghana. Our chiefs largely wield so much command in our communities. Wherever there is an illegal mining going on, the chiefs will be aware. And it is not only the chiefs. So when I talk of traditional authorities, i.e. the chiefs, the opinion leaders, the youth groups, and all of this, we are aware. What is even happening lately is that some of these galamseyers are the ones installing the chiefs.
Right.
So they install the chiefs and therefore are able to control or manage some of them. But there's the need for us, and that is why NIMOS has been clothed further by the minister, that in order not to politicize it, where politicians will be the one to go and engage the chiefs or the traditional authorities or the communities, NIMOS should take on that task as a military institution, as a task force, to go in there, engage the people as well, to let them know, hey, Nana, miba ukromuno. This is what I have seen. That is what I have seen. It is improper. Kindly dismantle this, do that. So it doesn't have a political coloration where somebody will say, I know this, I'm calling that. And the minister has made it known to them that there's no bigger person than the president who has empowered you to go and do what you're doing. So honestly, we are doing things completely different from what was done in the past. No issuance of licenses. We've reclaimed 9 of the red zones to green. The repeal of the LI 2462. Declaration of these forest reserves and water bodies as security zones, instituting the ARCOMs there, the blue water guards, the NIMOS as well, and trying to take education a notch higher by making sure that we reach out to our people.
You are also very mindful that what Ghanaians want to see are tangible results. I mean, they won't clap for you for the efforts. I think quite clearly, yes, we've seen the effort you're putting, but we want to see
So let me give you an assurance here. Today being 30th of September.
Yes.
In exactly even a year from now, you will have the best story to tell of a government that is committed to fighting this.
So we can hold you to this promise.
You can hold me to this. I know what is happening. And I'm telling you, look, just right now, I'm just even getting reports on the arrests that have been made. Nobody is being spared, no matter who. And it is why I must make this even known here. Apart from the NIMOS, which has been the mandated task force by the government, by the ministry, to combat this illegal mining, there are no other known task forces. I would politely want to tell everybody, I would not want to mention names, nobody else is mandated to go out there that I am forming a team, we are having a task force. Respectfully, we know how some of these things, what it has resulted in. How it has tainted the image of government. And we do not want examples of that.
Okay.
Anybody who has any intel should reach out to the NIMOS and be able to coordinate or do collaborate with the NIMOS to execute the mandate.
Okay.
We do not want splinter groups or various task forces here and there that are not known or alien who are purporting to be fighting the same cause. It is a genuine cause anyways, but respectfully, let them all do so through the NIMOS.
Great. So,
and you see, lastly, when we talk of the water bodies, many of us, the first thing we want to see is to see the water bodies turning clean.
Yes.
I think 2 or 3 days ago, I saw the Ankobra improving.
Okay.
But I don't even want to start to glorify on that. I will be happy to see it completely turned. Tomorrow, I'll come here and say, tomorrow, this is its state now.
Okay.
Now, the concern is that I need to let Ghanaians know it is not only about the cleanliness of the water we are talking about. It is the heavy metals that are even contained in the water.
Yeah.
And these are things that have been done over almost a decade. And to actually change these takes more than even a decade.
All right.
So the turbidity is what, you see, we are not populists. We may want to say, oh, once the water is now clean, it means we have done our job, but that is not it.
Okay.
We need to use the Ministry of Agric and other agencies to test even the soil and the water and all of that. But you see, as a government, there are people who have said, I have heard the opposition party said that they pay the ultimate price for fighting galamsey. That is a lie, a palpable falsehood. The people who are engaged in galamsey are a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the people who frown on galamsey are more than them.
Okay.
So if indeed you are committed and you fight this head on, the Ghanaians will reward you. And so we even strongly believe that if this government fights this canker and defeats it, they will be rewarded with another tenure.